Good evening. This is All India Radio. I'm Valsa Williams and with me is Aditi Lumba with the evening news. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi to hold a virtual summit to firm up comprehensive economic partnership agreement tomorrow. Prime Minister to also dedicate to the nation 2 additional railway lines in Maharashtra via video conferencing tomorrow. Campaigning hits top gear on penultimate day of electioneering for third phase assembly elections in Uttar Pradesh and single phase polls in Punjab. Government extends date of NEET MDS 2022 by 4 to 6 weeks. Karnataka government issues circular restricting any religious attire within educational institutions. Supreme Court sets aside High Court order staying 75% quota in private sector jobs for Haryana residents. New Delhi says India is supportive of immediate de-escalation of tensions between Ukraine and Russia. In cricket tomorrow, second T20 men's match between India and West Indies to be played at Eden Gardens in Kolkata, and Indian women's team to take on New Zealand in third ODI in Queenstown. With the new Omicron variant of coronavirus causing concern, we appeal to our listeners to be vigilant and to get fully vaccinated and help others, including children between 15 and 18 years, to get vaccinated. Please continue to follow these 3 simple steps to stay safe. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. For any COVID-related information and guidance, contact national helpline numbers 011-2397-8046 and 1075. And other news in detail. India and the United Arab Emirates UAE will firm up a comprehensive economic partnership agreement CEPA tomorrow during a virtual summit between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan. Making an announcement of the summit, the Ministry of External Affairs MEA said the negotiations for CEPA were launched in September 2021 and have been completed. The MEA added the agreement will take India-UAE economic and commercial engagement to the next level, which is likely to include areas like trade, investment, goods and services. The ministry added that both leaders are expected to lay out their vision of the historic and friendly bilateral ties at a time when India is celebrating 75 years of its independence and the UAE is marking the 50th anniversary of its foundation. The MEA further said the UAE is India's third largest trade partner and bilateral trade and investment ties are expected to see significant enhancements.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will dedicate to the nation 2 additional railway lines connecting Thane and Diva in Maharashtra tomorrow via video conferencing. He will also flag off 2 suburban trains of the Mumbai Suburban Railway, followed by his address on the occasion. The 2 additional railway lines connecting Thane and Diva have been built at an approximate cost of 620 crore rupees. It features 1.4 kilometers long rail flyover, 3 major bridges and 21 minor bridges. These lines will significantly remove the interference of long-distance trains traffic with suburban trains traffic in Mumbai. These lines will also enable the introduction of 36 new suburban trains in the city. Campaigning reached its peak today on penultimate day of electioneering for third phase assembly elections in Uttar Pradesh and single phase polls in Punjab. In Uttar Pradesh, senior BJP leader and Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed a public rally in Fatehpur district today. Addressing the gathering, he claimed that BJP is coming back to power in UP as the party has worked for the development of the state. Union Home Minister Amit Shah also campaigned for party candidates in Firozabad district. AIMIM chief Asaduddin Owaisi also campaigned for party candidates in Kannauj district. Addressing a gathering in Banda district, BSP Supremo Mayawati attacked on Congress and said that party is doing all kind of drama to get SC votes. Samajwadi Party chief Akhilesh Yadav campaigned in Attire, Farrukhabad and Mainpuri districts. Addressing a gathering at Karhal in Mainpuri, he alleged that BJP always misleads, betrays and instigates rifts among people. The third party of polling in Uttar Pradesh will be conducted on Sunday in 59 assembly constituencies including 15 seats reserved for the scheduled castes from 16 districts. During the single-phase polling in Punjab, total 1,304 candidates are in the fray for 117 seats. Addressing an election rally at Fazilka in Punjab, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that Punjab needs a government with a new vision and thinking. He said only BJP and its alliance partners can take Punjab on the path of development and rid it of drug mafia and sand mafia. He said agriculture can bring prosperity, but Congress did nothing for the farmers. The Prime Minister said record procurement was made by the centre and payment was made directly into the accounts of the farmers. He added that state needs a government which could work for the welfare of the farmers. Mr. Modi said his government started Jal Jeevan Mission to provide safe drinking water to every household of Punjab. Congress leader Rahul Gandhi addressed a rally at Fatehgarh Sahib and Priyanka Gandhi at Pathankot. Mr. Gandhi alleged that the central government was trying to grab the lands of farmers, but he was supporting farmers. He also accused AAP National Convener Arvind Kejriwal of visiting a house of terrorists. AAP State Convener Bhagwant Mann today led a roadshow in Chamkaur Sahib. He accused Chief Minister Charanjit Singh Channi of supporting sand mafia in the state. Senior Akali leader Prakash Singh Badal today addressed rallies at Lambi and Malot constituencies. BSP State President Jasveer Singh Gari accused Congress of running Punjab government with remote control.
Meanwhile, political parties have now intensified their poll campaign for the subsequent phases in UP and two-phase polling in Manipur. BJP National President JP Nadda released the party manifesto today for the upcoming polls in Manipur. Manipur Chief Minister N. Biren Singh, Union Minister of State for Education R.K. Ranjan, party state president and other key members of the party also attended the function. The BJP Manifesto 2022 included the party commitment to protect the territorial integrity and preserve the rights of the indigenous people of Manipur and provide 2 free LPG cylinders to all the PM Ujjwala beneficiaries annually. The manifesto, which has 20 points, also promised establishment of Manipur Skill University for the youth, free scooty for all meritorious college-going girls of the state, and free laptops for meritorious students passing class 12th standard. Congress leader Jairam Ramesh said that BJP manifesto is a report card of the dark era of the last 5 years under BJP-led Manipur government. Speaking at a press conference held today at Imphal today, Mr. Ramesh said the BJP manifesto has not mentioned any points on Armed Forces Special Powers Act 1958, issues on boundary, Naga peace talk and protection of indigenous people. The Chief Electoral Officer Manipur said a net 13,203 voters have been added to the electoral rolls during the continuous updation, and total electors on the final electoral roll for ensuing elections now stands at 204,869. Moreover, a total of 600 all-women polling stations to be established in the state of Manipur, and it is 1 out of every 5 polling stations in the upcoming polls in Manipur. The CEO of Manipur, Rajesh Agrawal, said 265 candidates are in the fray in both phases in the upcoming polls, and among them 56 candidates are having criminal antecedents. The government has extended the date of NEET MDS 2022 by 4 to 6 weeks. Earlier, the exam was scheduled to be held on the 6th of March. The Health Ministry said it has received representations from the United Doctor Front Association and MDS aspirants regarding the request to extend the date of examination. The ministry said the date of completion of compulsory rotating internship for eligibility for admission to MDS courses is now fixed on the 31st of July instead of the 31st of March this year. The Karnataka state government has issued a circular today restricting any religious attire within educational institutions. Quoting the High Court order dated February the 10th, the circular has banned saffron shawls, scarves, hijab, religious flags or the like within the classroom. This rule will be applicable even in the residential schools run by the Minorities Welfare Department and Waqf Board. The Karnataka High Court 3-member bench headed by the Chief Justice had in its interim order said the state government and all other stakeholders must reopen the educational institutions and allow students to return to class. It had also mentioned that pending consideration of all the petitions, all students, regardless of their religion or faith, must be restrained from wearing saffron shawls, scarves, hijab, religious flags or the like within the classroom.
The Supreme Court has set aside the High Court order staying the 75% quota in private sector jobs for Haryana residents. The Punjab and Haryana High Court on 3rd of February had granted an interim stay on the Haryana government's law providing 75% reservation in private sector jobs for residents of the state. A bench of Justices L. Nageshwar Rao and P.S. Narasimha Rao also directed the Haryana government today not to take coercive action against employers. The court said it did not intend to deal with the merits of the matter as it proposes to request the High Court to decide expeditiously and not later than 4 weeks. The court also directed parties not to seek adjournment and be present before court for fixing the schedule for hearing. An improvised explosive device, IED, was recovered in Delhi today near Old Simapuri area in a suspicious bag. Sources said explosive team of National Security Guard, NSG, has confirmed recovery of the IED. They said NSG has reached the spot to dispose the IED. The External Affairs Ministry today said India has been supportive of an immediate de-escalation of tensions between Ukraine and Russia and a resolution of the issue through sustained diplomatic dialogue. Briefing media in New Delhi this evening, Ministry spokesperson Arindam Bagchi said India welcomes efforts being undertaken for implementation of the Minsk agreements. He also said developments in Ukraine are being monitored by the Indian embassy in the country. He said advisories have been issued and control rooms have been set up.
To evacuation, I don't think any decision on evacuation has been taken. Our embassy continues to function normally and provide services to Indian nationals in Ukraine. As the advisory said, those who are non-essential activities, perhaps we request them to leave as well as not undertake non-essential travel. But as I said, flights are operational, the embassy is normal, our embassy is in touch with the students. So I think that's how we're looking at it. We continue to monitor the situation on the ground and we will take further steps if required depending on how the situation evolves.
Mr. Bagchi said India is following the developments in Canada in the context of blockades and protests going on there. He said India has noted that Canadian government has invoked the Emergency Act. 12 Pakistani prisoners who have completed their sentences were repatriated to Pakistan via Attire land border today.
External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar will leave for a 6-day visit to Germany and France tomorrow. Briefing media in New Delhi this evening, External Affairs Ministry spokesperson Arindam Bagchi said he will participate in the Munich Security Conference during his Germany visit. Dr. Jaishankar will hold bilateral meetings with foreign ministers and other delegates who will attend the conference. He will also participate in a panel discussion on the Indo-Pacific. On the sidelines of the conference, the minister will lead discussions at an Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav event being hosted by the Consulate General of India in Munich and the Observer Research Foundation. In the second leg of his visit, the minister will hold bilateral meetings with his French counterpart Jean-Yves Le Drian in Paris on the 20th of this month. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman today participated in the first G20 Finance Ministers and Central Bank Governors meeting under G20 Presidency of Indonesia. The minister will virtually join sessions during the 2-day meeting to discuss current global economic issues and G20 priorities for 2022. The 17th G20 Heads of State and Government Summit will take place in November this year in Bali, Indonesia. In the first session, Finance Minister talked about the global economic outlook and risks including inflation, supply disruptions and new variants of the coronavirus. She called for expeditious and equitable distribution of COVID vaccines to aid recovery. India's COVID-19 vaccination coverage has crossed 174 crore 59 lakhs today. The Union Health Ministry said more than 33 lakh vaccine doses have been administered till 7 p.m. today. More than 1 crore 84 lakh precaution doses for the identified categories of beneficiaries for COVID vaccination have been administered so far. In the age group of 15 to 18 years old, more than 5 crore 31 lakh vaccine doses have been administered as first dose and 1 crore 95 lakh as second dose so far. The recovery rate is currently at 98.03%.
You're listening to the evening news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi to hold a virtual summit to firm a comprehensive economic partnership agreement tomorrow. Prime Minister to also dedicate to the nation 2 additional railway lines in Maharashtra via video conferencing tomorrow. Campaigning hits top gear on penultimate day of electioneering for third phase assembly elections in Uttar Pradesh and single phase polls in Punjab. Government extends date of NEET MTS 2022 by 4 to 6 weeks. Karnataka government issues circular restricting any religious attire within educational institutions. Supreme Court sets aside the High Court order staying 75% quota in private sector jobs for Haryana residents. New Delhi says India is supportive of immediate de-escalation of tensions between Ukraine and Russia. In cricket tomorrow, second T20 men's match between India and West Indies to be played at Eden Gardens in Kolkata, and Indian women's team to take on New Zealand in third ODI in Queenstown. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
चलो मिलकर एक शुरुआत करें, चलो एक फैसला आज करें, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे, चलो एक इरादा करते हैं, चलो कुछ वादा करते हैं, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे।
अपने बिजनेस को बढ़ाने के लिए लीजिए आकाशवाणी का सहयोग और दीजिए उसे बुलंदियों के पंख।
आपका बिजनेस लोकल है या राष्ट्रीय, आकाशवाणी देती है उपभोक्ताओं तक पहुंचने का हर विकल्प।
और अब तो आप घर, दफ्तर या दुकान पर बैठे बैठे कर सकते हैं आकाशवाणी के किसी भी केंद्र के लिए विज्ञापनों की बुकिंग।
आकाशवाणी के विभिन्न चैनलों पर विज्ञापन देना सुलभ और सस्ता।
बुकिंग है तो संपर्क करें 8700014242 पर।
8700014242।
Welcome back to the evening news. Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla today expressed concern over continuous disruption of proceedings and lack of decorum in Parliament and state legislatures. Mr. Birla was addressing the inaugural session of orientation and enlightenment program for members of Bihar legislators at the Central Hall of the Bihar Assembly. Mr. Birla also expressed concern of a gradual decline in discipline and decorum in the state legislatures. He said in the 75th year of independence, the Amrit Mahotsav, all the members should try their best to maintain decorum of the houses.
सदन में अपनी बात तर्कों से कहें, तीखेपन से कहें, असहमति दर्ज कराएं, लेकिन चर्चा और संवाद के बीच में हमें गरिमा और शालीनता नहीं छोड़नी। आजकल जो विधानमंडलों के अंदर जिस तरीके की गरिमा और शालीनता गिरती जा रही है, इससे सारा देश का व्यक्ति चिंता है। इसलिए हमारी कोशिश होनी चाहिए कि इस आजादी के 75वें वर्ष में हम संकल्प लें कि इन विधानमंडलों की गरिमा को बढ़ाए रखेंगे और जनता की अपेक्षाएं, आकांक्षाओं को इन विधानमंडलों से पूरा करने का काम करेंगे।
The Lok Sabha Speaker also emphasized on extensive debate on the process of lawmaking, program and policies in the temples of democracy. Mr. Birla urged all legislators to debate and discuss in the houses to fulfill the expectations of the people. Chief Minister Nitish Kumar appealed to all the members to express their views during the proceedings of the House without any hesitation. Mr. Kumar also favoured greater coordination among members. Deputy Chairman of Rajya Sabha Harivansh urged all members to actively participate in legislative debates and discussions. The Speaker of Bihar Assembly, Vijay Kumar Sinha, briefed about people-centric initiatives of the state legislature and social awareness campaigns. He said Bal Sansad will be organized on a large scale to make the younger generation aware about parliamentary traditions. Earlier, the Speaker also launched digital TV of Bihar Legislative Assembly and a magazine of the lower house of the state legislature.
The first of its kind water taxi service linking Mumbai and Navi Mumbai was inaugurated today by Union Shipping Minister Sarbanand Sonowal in the presence of Maharashtra Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray. The water taxi will ply between domestic cruise terminal in South Mumbai and the newly inaugurated Belapur jetty in Navi Mumbai, reducing the travel time to just 45 minutes, a good 50% less than the current time taken via roadways. The water taxi service has been launched with 7 speedboats with a capacity of 10 to 30 passengers each and a catamaran boat with a capacity of 56 passengers, while the ticket for one-way travel by catamaran will cost 250 rupees. The cost of travel by speedboat will be from 825 to 1,210 rupees. More from our Mumbai correspondent.
Connecting the twin cities of Mumbai and Navi Mumbai, the water taxi service will allow a comfortable and eco-friendly mode of transport from the domestic cruise terminal in South Mumbai to Belapur and from there on to JNPT and Elephanta Islands. The route is expected to be extended to Vashi, Airoli, Mandwa, Karanja, Thane and Kanoji Angre Island among others. Addressing the inaugural function, Mr. Sonowal lauded the Mumbai Maritime Board along with the state agencies for the construction of state-of-the-art Belapur jetty under the Sagarmala project. He said the taxi service will not only boost tourism but also open employment opportunities. Nisha Rani, AIR News, Mumbai.
And now let's listen to a special program, Azadi Ka Safar, highlighting the importance of the day during the freedom struggle.
आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव।
Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. Birth of a Nation. India's glorious freedom struggle is one of the greatest struggles the modern world has ever witnessed. AIR News brings you a glimpse of the struggle every day.
On 17 February 1931, Mahatma Gandhi met the British Viceroy, Lord Irwin, at the Viceroy's house. Gandhiji declined to have a cup of tea and told the Viceroy that he would rather prefer a glass of lemon water. Having just been jailed for the Dandi March and the salt satyagraha, he said to have carried his own salt in a packet and used it to mix in the lemon water.
Images of the modestly clad Gandhi at the grand new Viceroy House rankled several important people in London. Winston Churchill said,
"It is alarming and also nauseating to see Mr. Gandhi, an inner temple lawyer, now become a seditious fakir of a type well known in the East, striding half-naked up the steps of the Viceregal Palace while he is still organizing and conducting a defiant campaign of civil disobedience to parley on equal terms with the representative of the King Emperor."
Gandhiji and the Viceroy Irwin met 8 times until the 5th of March 1931, leading ultimately to the Gandhi-Irwin Pact.
We also remember Naga spiritual and freedom fighter Rani Gaidinliu, who died on the 17th of February 1993. Gaidinliu, who belonged to the Rongmei tribe, led an armed uprising against the British in Manipur, Nagaland and Assam.
Rani Gaidinliu was born on the 26th of January 1915 in present-day Tamilnong district of Manipur. In 1927, at the age of 13, Gaidinliu, along with her cousin Haiku Jadunlang, joined the Heraka movement, which aimed at a revival of the Naga tribal religion and to establish self-rule of the Nagas, ending the British rule. At the mere age of 16 years, she was arrested in 1932 by the British and sentenced to life imprisonment. Between 1932 and 1947, the Naga freedom fighter was kept at several prisons.
After being released in 1947, she continued to work for the betterment of the community. Jawaharlal Nehru described Gaidinliu as the daughter of the hills and gave her the title of Rani for her courage. She was also awarded a Padma Bhushan. We salute the great freedom fighter.
We also remember freedom fighter and social worker Perin Ben Captain, who was the granddaughter of renowned Indian intellectual and leader Dadabhai Naoroji.
Perin Ben was born on the 12th of October 1888 in Kutch district. She studied at the University of Paris. While in Paris, she came in contact with Bhikaji Cama and started participating in nationalistic activities. She came to India in 1911 and later met Mahatma Gandhi and was influenced by his ideals. In 1919, she started working with Mahatma, and in 1920, she joined the Swadeshi movement and started wearing khadi. In 1921, she assisted in establishing the Rashtriya Stri Sabha, a women's movement based on Gandhian ideals.
Perrin served in a number of councils of the Indian National Congress and was the first woman president of the Bombay Provincial Congress Committee in 1930. She was imprisoned for her participation in the civil disobedience movement. When Gandhi Seva Sena was reconstituted in the 1930s, she was made its honorary General Secretary, a post she held till her death in 1958. We salute the great freedom fighters.
We also remember freedom fighter Chand Mian, who hailed from Tripura. On 17th of February 1932, around 15,000 farmers gathered to celebrate the Farmers' Day in defiance of the British orders. Sensing disturbances, the police opened fire to disperse them, and Chand Mian was killed. We salute the great martyr. That brings us to the end of this episode of Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. See you in the next episode tomorrow.
Best wishes to all consumers for Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Hallmark ensures purity of gold. Always purchase Hallmark Gold Jewelry. For any consumer-related complaints, please contact National Consumer Helpline's toll-free number 14404. Issued in public interest by Department of Consumer Affairs, Government of India, Jago Grahak Jago. The Sensex and the Nifty today witnessed modest losses, pairing early gains amid mixed global cues. The Sensex closed below the 58,000 mark, while the Nifty ended around 17,300 level. The Sensex fell 105 points, or 0.18% to finish at 57,892, while the Nifty lost 18 points, or 0.10% to settle at 17,305.
On to sports. In cricket, India will take on West Indies in the second T20 International at the Eden Gardens in Kolkata tomorrow. The match will begin at 7 p.m. India defeated the West Indies by 6 wickets in the first T20 of the three-match series at the same venue last night. With this win, India have gained a 1-0 lead in the series. In women's cricket, India will take on New Zealand in the third one-day international at the John Davies Oval Stadium in Queenstown tomorrow. The match will begin at 3:30 a.m. Now let us take a look at the weather forecast for tomorrow. The national capital Delhi will have mist. Temperature will vary between 10 and 27 degrees Celsius. Mumbai will have a mainly clear sky becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. Chennai will have fog in the morning and partly cloudy sky later. Kolkata will have a mainly clear sky. Minimum temperature will be 17 degrees, maximum around 28. And now before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi to hold a virtual summit to firm up comprehensive economic partnership agreement tomorrow. Prime Minister to also dedicate to the nation 2 additional railway lines in Maharashtra via video conferencing tomorrow. Campaigning hits top gear on penultimate day of electioneering for third phase assembly elections in Uttar Pradesh and single phase polls in Punjab. Government extends date of NEET MDS 2022 by 4 to 6 weeks. Karnataka government issues circular restricting any religious attire within educational institutions. Supreme Court sets aside High Court order staying 75% quota in private sector jobs for Haryana residents. New Delhi says India is supportive of immediate de-escalation of tensions between Ukraine and Russia. In cricket, tomorrow's second T20 men's match between India and West Indies to be played at Eden Gardens in Kolkata, and Indian women's team to take on New Zealand in third ODI in Queenstown. And with that, we end the evening news. Good night.